Hi everybody, I'm Sheryl Crow and I'm here to welcome you to a special Toms of Maine live chat event. I am really excited to be with you this evening answering any questions that you might have for the next hour and sharing some stories and doing some giveaways and just having fun. So to get started, just type your questions in the Facebook or Ustream chat boxes and let's get started. All right, I've already got a question. So question number one is, what does natural beauty mean to you or to me? Well, when I think of natural beauty, I think of the word natural, and that means nothing false. I also like to think of natural beauty as being in line with the planet. I think that all of our power comes up from the planet. The planet is a living organism, and everything that we do, as long as we're within keeping of what's natural to the planet, to me, is where our beauty is derived. So that means not putting toxins into our bodies, not rearranging things. Like, I'm not a very big proponent of cosmetic surgery or injections and all that stuff. I think that our natural beauty really exists in our authenticity and being in touch with who we are, what we believe, and that kind of really just transcending everything else. While we're on the subject of natural beauty, we are giving away 300 samples of Toms of Maine new Simply White toothpaste for the first 300 of you guys who send us an email to this address. So be sure to include your mailing address in the email, and we're only going to do one per household. Simply White is a great way to whiten your teeth naturally without harsh chemicals, which is one of the things that I love about Toms of Maine. My little boy uses it. I know that what's going into his body, because he hasn't learned to spit yet. He hasn't learned the fine art of spitting. So whatever he's swallowing is natural, and that's why I love Toms of Maine. And same for me, and I use Toms of Maine deodorant, particularly since I'm a breast cancer survivor. And I love knowing that whatever I put into my freshly shaven skin is not going to be toxic. All right, so here's the next question. How do you keep a balanced life between your music and family life? That's a really good question. I think that everything in life is about balance and about knowing what's really important. And for me, when my boys came along, that really defined my day. It defined my decision-making. Everything that I do in my life revolves around what's best for them, and my music has taken a back seat, which, you know, for better or for worse, that's just the way that it has to be. It doesn't mean I'm making less important music, or for me, less potent music, but for me, definitely I'm making less music. But I'm getting to do other things that I think are enhancing my creativity, and part of that is just being inspired and being in touch with what it means to be innocent and to be looking through the eyes of a child again. So I think that's really great for my own inspiration and my own sense of creativity. The next question, what are your key tips for leading a healthy life? I think that question is really also in line with natural beauty. I try to live in a way that, I try to live in a very healthy way, which means trying to steer clear of preservatives, trying to steer clear of things that are not natural. For instance, chemicals. I like to try to use natural shampoos and natural makeups, and particularly when it comes to diet, we try to eat organic in my family. We try to eat, like I said, we steer clear of preservatives. We try to go gluten-free as much as possible. And also preservatives, antibiotic-free meats, meats that have not been herbicides, pesticides, that sort of thing. We try to eat as cleanly as possible, and as organically and as locally as possible as well, and as seasonally, which is part of what our cookbook is based on. Because when you eat seasonally, you're eating food that you can be guaranteed is fresh. It hasn't been flown from a different country and shot up with things to make it appear to be still in season. And so just little tips like that that I feel like at least while the environment may be becoming more toxic, at least what we put into our bodies is on the healthy tip. Do you ever intend to move out of Nashville? As of right now, I love Nashville and I don't want to move away. I love the people there. I love the fact that it's very not celebrity oriented. There are no paparazzi there, and I have great friends there, and I have great friends who are sort of in the same mindset as me, which is we like a slow-paced life. We like life being really normal and not revolved around big events that are high profile. My kids are being raised in nature, which is hugely important for me. We have cows and horses and chickens and the whole thing. And it's also the Midwest, or even sort of verging on the South, which is, I grew up about 3 hours from there, so it feels like home to me, and I don't really have any big plan on moving. It's great to be able to visit New York and work there, but to be able to come home and be in what feels like a normal life. What was it like to work with Michael Jackson? And I guess that's really hard to sum up, but I will say that because I had not even been out of the country before. I had just moved to Los Angeles 6 months before. I'd been a school teacher. It was a completely and totally life-changing experience for me. Life-changing in every single way. I learned how to be a professional backup singer basically on the spot. We played for audiences of 65,000 people. We opened in Tokyo. I'd never even owned a passport. I got to sing in a band that was completely premier musicians of the highest caliber, but most importantly, I got to observe the greatest artists of our time. And I don't think that there will ever be anybody who is quite as, in the music world, quite as popular, maybe quite as important in the pop world as Michael Jackson was. So it was just an amazing experience all the way around. What was the first song you wrote when you started your music career? And this is from Charles. It's a funny question. This was before I started my music career. I wrote a song when I was 13 to enter into the state Missouri song contest, and I received an honorable mention, which probably means that me and everybody else that entered it got an honorable mention. But it was a song about Missouri. The first song that I wrote, gosh, I don't even remember. I probably have on a demo tape somewhere. I used to sing in bars, and I used to do piano bars, and I wrote lots of stuff on piano, so I don't know what the first song would have been. I may have to get back to you on that one. Do you miss teaching? This is from Sarah. I do. I mean, every now and again I have dreams about it, which is kind of funny. And when I first moved to LA, I'd have dreams about teaching all the time because that was my most recent frame of reference. And I would always think, well, is this a sign that I need to go back to teaching? But I still do a lot of teaching in my own way. I do Grammy in the schools. I do volunteerism. And I also have taught a master class at Dartmouth College. And I like doing that sort of thing. I speak a lot. In fact, I just spoke at the commencement for University of Missouri over the weekend, and so I try to keep myself in the world of education as much as possible. What is your songwriting process? It is different all the time. I used to get up in the morning and I would write when my brain was not filled with anything from the day, and I don't do that anymore because my kids get up at the crack of dawn. They get up at like 6. So I just try to write when I can. I do find that I write a lot more now late at night. I write while they're napping. I just try to grab it when I can. I don't feel like I have to be in the throes of angst to write. Inspiration is a luxury, and I feel like it's something I can tap into if I am conscious about getting out of my own intellect. And if I sit down and just really try to tap into something that has been on my heart, I can generally find my way through at least part of a lyric. So, and that's kind of where all the songs come from, are the lyrics first. What are some tips you give people with dreams of becoming a singer? Christian is who's asked me that. Christian, I would say to enter American Idol first. No, I'm kidding about that. That wasn't around when I got started, but it is a huge, obviously, a great way to get started. But I would say as a songwriter, you just really have to love what you do, and that may sound really corny, but songwriting for me is a really lonely experience. You know, you have to really tap into your own solitude and tap into your kind of your subconscious. And I would say that a couple of things: be really diligent. You know, try to write every day, and also listen to songwriters. You you don't have to listen to everybody, but try to listen to the greats. I mean, the first person I would say to start with is Bob Dylan. Listen to Leonard Cohen. Read great writers. Read Steinbeck. Read Mark Twain. Read Hemingway. I mean, read whoever it is that inspires you. I get stuff from magazines. I get stuff from the New York Times Book Review. I'll find lines that I feel like are inspiring. Like "God Bless This Mess" came from the finance part of the New York Times one Sunday morning. So you never know where you're going to find inspiration. And keep a notebook on you all the time, and just try to see yourself as a songwriter, try to see yourself as a writer, and just be diligent about trying to write something down every day. My favorite vacation spot, well, that's really hard. I've been really lucky, and I've gotten to go a lot of different places, but I would say that Cabo San Lucas, I've been going there for 20 years, and I love the people down there. I love the Latin spirit. I love the fact that it's, even though there are a lot of hotels, it's relatively unchanged when you get into the villages. I mean, I don't know how it is now, because I know that Mexico is having its own problems with drug wars, but I do love going down there, gone down there for a long time. What songs have you written that are most meaningful to you? And it's from Sasha. Well, there are songs that no one would ever, if they weren't a big fan, would ever know about. And those are songs that are deep into albums, like The Weather Channel and River Wide. And River Wide was inspired by a Walt Whitman poem called Amongst the Leaves. Leaves of Grass. The poem is called Amongst the Multitude. My Favorite Mistake is one of my favorite songs, and I just enjoy playing that song, and it has a lot of meaning for me. The Detours record as a whole, a lot of the songs on that record are songs that I love because of the time that I wrote them, after having had breast cancer and after having gone through some real life-changing events, and the opportunity that I felt I had to write about what was happening in this country, what was happening in the world as far as our consciousness about the environment and about our president. And for me, that was the real songwriter's record. So I listen to that record. I feel really proud of that record. Any particular artist you would like to work with? And that's from Ronald. Gosh, there's so many great young artists coming up through the pop world, the rock world, and even the country world. I love Black Keys. I love, who else? Country-wise, I love Dolly Parton, even though she's not a new artist. I'd love to work with her. I'd love to work with Merle Haggard. He hasn't done anything in a long time, but I think he's just the quintessential American storyteller. Gosh, who else? I'm blanking. I'm going to think on that. 100 miles from Memphis refers to where? And that's from Ashley. Well, I grew up, Ashley, 106 miles from Memphis. I grew up in a small town called Kennett in the Boot Hill of Missouri. And Memphis was the big city. And the radio stations that we grew up listening to came out of Memphis, WMPS. In fact, Rick Dees, who has a national radio show and has for years, was the local radio jock there. And he came and played at my senior prom right before he released Disco Duck. Aging myself there. But yeah, I grew up listening to music that came out of Memphis, and grew up very near there. Did you ever get nervous before a performance? Do I ever get? Oh yeah, I definitely get nervous before some performances. For instance, when I have to perform on a big like a TV show that's live, like a Saturday Night Live, or an award show like the Grammys or the CMAs, the Country Music Awards. Those are always very nerve-wracking, particularly because you look out in the audience and it's all people you know, it's all celebrities, it's all artists who you've admired forever and ever. So it's very nerve-wracking. How do you keep your kids entertained on tour? Well, funny you should ask that. I just went to the bike store and bought some cruisers and a trailer. It's gotten really beautiful in the last few days. We're in Boise now, and the last couple of days have been warm and gorgeous, and just being outside is huge. And we generally start off the day with an activity like going to a local children's museum, or going to a museum, or going to a zoo or an aquarium, or a kids' activity center, or even the park. And then, we try to keep the schedule as regular, as normal as possible. So we'll do something in the morning, and then lunch, and then naps, and then sound check, and so on and so forth. But mornings are all about the activity. What is your favorite song to sing on stage? And that's from Terry. Terry. Well, I don't know. It kind of varies. It depends. Right now I'm loving singing Difficult Kind just because we haven't sung it in years. I'm loving singing Sweet Rosalind just because we haven't done that one in years. I love doing the stuff from the last record because it's very positive feeling. It's very jam-oriented, and the band that I have is just so free-form and spontaneous, so I love singing that stuff. What was your big break? My big break, I actually think my big break was the Jackson tour. I moved to LA after I quit teaching, and I'd lived there about 6 months and was starting to get some work as a backup singer, doing jingles and doing some record stuff. And I overheard some singers talking about the Michael Jackson tour. The Michael Jackson audition for the Bad tour. And I found out where it was, and I crashed the audition, and I wound up getting it. So that was a huge coup and a real life changer and career changer. Even though when I came home, nothing happened for 3 or 4 years. I went back to being anonymous and to waiting tables and trying to get backup work. And then eventually I got a record deal. My most embarrassing moment, and that is from Jessica. Well, I have to say my first and maybe my most embarrassing moment was opening night with Michael in Tokyo. We went out on stage, and the show was very choreographed, and my dress split right up the back, and Michael thought it was hilarious and was just like laughing every time I'd turn around and my dress was split, like up the back. He would laugh. He was quite a practical joker. And then the second, probably the most next embarrassing moment was the second leg of the tour. We were in Europe, in Rome, and I got some kind of parasite and was broken out in hives. And so our opening show, I looked like a cartoon character from a children's book. But the show must go on, so. Will you go on tour with Kid Rock? And that's from Debbie. And yes, we are actually going on tour with Bobby July 2nd. And we'll be out from July 2nd to sometime in September. So make sure and come out and see us. We're the special guests on Kid Rock's tour this summer. How do you stay so fit? Well, my mom says everybody looks better in clothes, and I have to agree with that. But yeah, I'm not nearly as fit as I used to be, mainly because I have kids now, and my workout time was always in the morning, and it's very hit or miss. So, but I'm very active. We are always on the go. We're always moving, and I play shows at night that are 2 hours and upward, and that's a pretty good workout. But if I do get to work out, I generally run, or I'll go to the gym and do cardio and some weights and basic stuff. What is your favorite guitar? And that's from Ryan. Ryan, I have written most of my biggest songs on a 1964 Gibson Country and Western acoustic guitar. When I'm playing acoustics, I prefer to play old Gibsons. I have a couple of Martins that I do love, but I'm kind of a Gibson person. Electrics, I like to play. I have a couple of Telecasters I really love. One is a 1961 Telecaster. And bass-wise, I used to play bass predominantly on stage, and I use like a 70s M85, a Guild M85, and I have a couple of those. What is my favorite kind of beer? Well, I like Miller Lite or Bud Light, and the two are interchangeable. I'm not loyal to either one of them, although beer, Bud Light used to be from Missouri, which is where I'm from. Now they're a Belgian company, even though they're still out of St. Louis. But yes, those are my two favorite beers. There is one song during your illness. Oh, is there one song during your illness that inspired you? And that fan is D. Okay. I don't know if you're asking if it's one song that I wrote or if it's a song that somebody else wrote. But gosh, that's a really good question. I don't think there was a song that inspired me. I'll tell you one of the reasons why, and that was music, and my work has always been a go-to for me, and it's always been a place that I could kind of hide my emotions. I could make myself productive. I could see myself as a productive person when I was working. It's kind of like that thing when you're upset, people will say, well, try to stay busy, try not to think about it. And so that's what I would do. I would stay busy working and writing and crafting. And when I was going through my illness, I really made the conscious decision not to write at all. I mean, I would write in my journal, but I wasn't listening to music, and I wasn't, I would listen to like classical music like Chopin, and I listened to Madame Butterfly and stuff while I was getting my radiation. They would like blast really dramatic music, and it would just transport me away from the experience, which was kind of nice. But for the most part, I would really try to just stay in it and not be thinking in the context of sharing my emotions or expressing myself. I really wanted to just hold on to it and experience and hold the emotion, and then work my way through it that way. Anyone past or present that you would like to do a duet with? Well, we kind of talked about that, but past or present, well, past, gosh, I'd love to do something with John Lennon, but that's not going to happen. I'd love to sing with the Carter family. That's not going to happen. I did get the opportunity to work with Johnny Cash before he passed. I didn't get to sing with him, but he recorded a song of mine called Redemption Day, and that was a giant thrill. Duet-wise now, I am a big fan of John Legend. Of course, in the country world, like I said, I'd love to work with Merle Haggard. I love working with Willie Nelson. I've gotten to play with so many people that I love, from Bob Dylan to the Rolling Stones to Eric Clapton, to Kid Rock. There are just so many, Emmylou Harris, Stevie Nicks. There's so many great people I've gotten to work with. It's kind of hard for me to even think of people. What is your favorite concert venue? I love playing the Red Rocks, which is outside of Denver. And it's just this amazing place that is... has a very, I feel like a very strong Native American presence there, like lots of energy, and it's just this gorgeous atmosphere, these giant rocks that you're playing in the middle of. That place and the gorge, which is very similar. The gorge actually looks like the Grand Canyon. And the backdrop is just this giant canyon it's so beautiful, and when it's lit up with your lights, I think there's no better backdrop than nature. So, what charities do you hold close to your heart? And that's from Cassandra. Well, I do. I try to. It's kind of futile, but I try to limit myself to working in the area of environment and cancer, because I have a direct relationship to those causes of concern, and I feel like if you show up for every single thing, then it kind of, in a certain way, undermines your credibility and undermines the credibility of the event. But I do a lot of work in areas that a lot of people are not as visible. For instance, I do a lot of work on behalf of the children's home that exists in southern Missouri. In my hometown. I do a lot of work for the Educational Foundation down there, which are primarily just from where I'm from. I work with the BCRF. I also work with, which is the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and I also work with the Natural Resources Defense Council, and that is an environmental foundation or organization that is constantly in defense of the environment, basically as if the environment was a person who needed a great attorney. They're constantly doing research and raising money to protect some of our greatest resources, or all of our greatest resources, and I'm all about that, because I feel like the environment is the great mothership of which all things are derived from. Our health, you know, as the earth warms, diseases that have been out of the picture for years and years, like cholera and malaria, we're going to start seeing those diseases surface in our own country. And so while we're working on finding a cure for cancer, I feel like the environment is probably the mothership, where the environment is so heavily prevalent in our well-being. What is Wyatt and Levi's favorite song of yours? They like Lady Gaga. I don't know. I mean, you know, we don't sing my songs for the most part. They'll hear, like at the beginning of the Cars movie, they'll hear "Real Gone," and Wyatt will always, "Oh, there's Mommy," or "Soak of the Sun," or "All I Want to Do." You know, the big hits that they hear on the radio, they'll say, "Oh, there's Mommy." Levi just dances to everything, and it looks a little like this. So he doesn't care anything about my music. What is your favorite book? Oh, God, that's so hard. There's so many books I love. I mean, I grew up in a family where everybody read books. My parents passed books back and forth all the time. They still do. I always say that that's the key to their longevity of 56 years of marriage, 55 years of marriage. Well, I mean, some of the great books that have left a mark on me were To Kill a Mockingbird. I loved Tender as the Night, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I love Movable Feast, Somerset Maugham. I love Sophie's Choice, which was by William Styron. I loved, Pudd'nhead Wilson by Mark Twain when I was growing up. I mean, there's so many books that left an impression on me. The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. I just recently read The Help. I read Water for Elephants. Both great books. Tibetan Book of Living and Dying was an important book for me. That's a few of them. Will you ever play the drums on stage? From Janet. No, I will never play the drums on stage. I'm very mad at myself because I would love to be able to play drums, and for some reason I suck. I'm terrible at it. So, no, that's probably never going to happen. What instruments can you play? I grew up studying piano, got my degree in classical piano, taught myself how to play guitar, acoustic, and then electric. Bass came next, harmonica, accordion. I mean, a lot of instruments I play, I've started playing because of the necessity of playing them. When the Unplugged series with MTV came along, you know, you couldn't play keyboard, so I learned how to play the accordion. And what else do I play? I play a tiny bit of pedal steel, and I'm not very good at it. What else? Hammond, B3. What are your kids' favorite books? Right now, my son really loves Mars Needs Moms, and it's about how Martians don't have moms. And this little boy is, he just doesn't, he's always in trouble, and so he thinks, he can't figure out what's special about moms because they're always making you eat carrots and broccoli and putting you in timeout. And so you don't know whether he's dreamt it or if it really happens, but the Martians come down and steal his mom, and he jumps on the spaceship, and he goes up there, and he realizes that they've kidnapped his mom because they want a great mom. Anyway, it's a very sweet book. He loves that book. Would you judge on American Idol? I would probably judge on American Idol now. I've kind of changed my way of thinking about it. I have to say, though, I think that Jennifer Lopez and Steven Tyler, and of course Randy, they're great. I love watching them. They don't need me, but it was fun to mentor. It was fun. What was the last movie you saw? Actually, the last movie that I saw was Water for Elephants, and it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. That's not the last movie I saw. The last movie I saw was Rio, which is a kid's movie, and it is great, and I am such a sucker that I got choked up at the end. So, great movie. Why did you decide to write if it makes you healthy? Well, I'll give you the short and long of it. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 years ago. I decided that I wanted to have a very proactive involvement in my staying well, in my cancer not coming back. And I learned a lot through a nutritionist about how to fortify the immune system, how to eat in a way that's disease preventing. And there are so many things to know that we actually already are doing that I think a lot of people don't know, like the fact that cinnamon is very, very anti-cancer, has cancer defense properties, as does turmeric, as does, let's see, turmeric, cumin. Foods that are high in omegas are extremely important for wellness. Foods that are bright and colorful. Whenever you have the opportunity to eat a purple cabbage over a white cabbage, you're going to have many more nutrients, antioxidants in the colorful vegetables. So what happened was I got ready to go on the road. I wanted to continue to eat healthy. I hired Chuck White, who's a great chef from Nashville. And we just had this budding food romance. He cooked for us on the road. I made my Detours record. He cooked for us during the making of the record. He knew so much about how to eat in a healthy way, but how it still be wonderfully tasty, that I asked him if we could do a cookbook together so that we could share the information that I had learned and that he already knew, and even just tips along the way. And he was amenable to that. So we had St. Martin's Press publish our book, and it's basically a book of great recipes, all different levels, for people who can't cook to people who are great cooks. But more than that, it's really kind of an information and kind of an instruction book, really. It's just got all kinds of information in it. Great little anecdotes, great substitutions, great handbook for how to eat healthy, how to cook healthy. Okay, everyone. Okay, everybody. Now it's time for If It Makes You Healthy, the cookbook giveaway. I am giving away 30 copies of my new cookbook right now. So all you need to do is send us an email and make sure that you provide us with your mailing address. And we're only going to send one per household. So I know you will love it. I was not a great cook, and I don't think that's my line of work. But I love cooking from the cookbook. I made the miso sea bass recently, and it's just so great, and my kids love it. I'm all about bribery when it comes to my little kids eating, particularly my 4-year-old. My 1-year-old is like, put it in front of me and I'll eat it. But my 4-year-old, when he could learn to say no, that's when he decided he would become a picky eater. So I'm all about bribery, and there is great food in there, great desserts in there that are totally healthy. You can even substitute them as vegan, gluten-free, like the chocolate mousse, which is basically just cocoa, which is super high in antioxidant. Avocado, and a little bit of agave, and that's all, and it is the best stuff. So if you'll try this, Wyatt, you can have some of this, and that's how we do it. What is a typical day like for you? Well, a typical day on the road for me, which is kind of what my mindset is right now because we're on the road. I get up with my kids. That's my special time with them. Even at home, my special time with just me and the kids is in the morning. So if it's 5 o'clock, if it's 6 o'clock, if it's 7 o'clock, it's me and the kids. We eat breakfast together. We, kind of just putter around the house. If we're on the road, we eat on the bus, basically, because we're driving, or we wake up on the bus. Wyatt loves muffins, zucchini muffins that we've hid stuff in, like peanut butter or almond butter or sweet potatoes or cauliflower, whatever. He loves muffins. We eat breakfast. We do an activity, which basically means the night before we'll Google where we're going and find out what is going on in Boise, for instance. They have a great park here. It has a zoo in it. They have a great kids museum. So we make a planned activity. Levi generally naps in the morning, so he'll either stay back or he'll come with us and nap in the what am I trying to say? Push, the stroller. And then we have lunch together, and it's nap time, and that's when I get stuff done for me. And then I have sound check at 3, and the boys come, or they don't come. They'll maybe hang out, go swimming at the pool, whatever. And then we eat dinner together. Chuck cooks for us on the road. and then it's books and tuck in on the bus, and then I go to work, and I get on the bus afterwards, and we drive on to the next city, and we sleep on the bus. We have a crib, and Wyatt has his own bunk, and we just keep it rolling. How were you discovered and where? And that's from Wayne. Well, Wayne, I would say that I was basically discovered by crashing the audition for Michael Jackson, which was supposed to be, it was supposed to be on recommendation from either Quincy Jones or Bruce Swedien, who was Michael's, mostly his producer at the time. And I found out where it was, and I basically showed up and signed my name in, and they called me, and I auditioned, and I got it. And then much later on, when I came back, and I played for everybody in town, everybody in Hollywood, and nobody knew what to do with me because everything that was going on in music at that time was Paula Abdul and very choreographed stuff, Madonna, Lisa and the Cult Jam, stuff like that. And I wanted to do, you know, kind of Southern rock. So I went back to waiting tables, and then I actually went to a party one night that I knew Sting was going to be at, and I gave my cassette, which there weren't CDs yet. I gave my cassette to his producer, Hugh Padgham, and Hugh asked me if I was signed, and he said he had a relationship with A&M Records, and he took my cassette in, and that's how I got signed to a record deal. What is the most important thing you do to be green? And that's from Marlene. Well, Marlene, we really try at the farm in Nashville to be as, to have the smallest imprint that we can. And I'm a big advocate of non-consumerism. In other words, we try to recycle everything that we can. We're getting ready to do composting, which we haven't done yet. We're going to try to do that. We're going to try to be like zero footprint, which is difficult when you have kids. Very difficult when you have diapers. But we're solar power. We are on a well. We recycle. We have rules around the house. You know, the shower length. We don't run the hot water. We brush our teeth. We don't run a dishwasher unless it's totally full. We don't run the dryer on hot. We let things be damp and hang them. And what else? Gosh. I mean, those are the things I'm thinking of right now. While we're on the road, we're working with Tom's in Maine, greening the tour, which is not only greening our tour, but also going out into the community and educating the community on how to grow your own food, how to garden, how to eat healthy, how to be physical, how to minimize your footprint. And, you know, it's really about education. We try to green our tour as much as possible by using biodiesel. All of our buses and our trucks are biodiesel, and we recycle. Everybody has their own aluminum water drinking device instead of bottles. I can't stand water bottles. Just the fact that there are millions of water bottles going into a landfill every single day. Just, you know, the earth eventually is just going to be one big heaping pile of trash. So we're trying not to be part of that problem. If you weren't a rock star, what would you be? And that's from Anne. Anne, I would probably be a veterinarian. I love animals, and you know, if I were going back to college now, without the mindset of being a musician, I would probably go to vet school, and I would love to be a part of, you know, taking care of animals, large and small. What's your favorite song from 100 Miles from Memphis? And that's from Sal. I think my favorite song, well, gosh, you know, sadly, it's a song I didn't write. It's a song called Sideways by Citizen Cope, and I love the song so much, and I love singing it live, and just really love what Clarence Greenwood does. So please go out and check out Citizen Cope. He just writes great music. How many hours of sleep do you get every night? Well, I wish I got more, but with my kids getting up at 6, and if I go to bed, you know, if I go to bed at 11, I'm doing great if I stay awake till 11, because it's you know, with kids. Levi still takes a bottle, and sometimes he'll wake up, you know, at 3 in the morning, or sometimes he'll sleep through till 5 or 6 in the morning, and then he'll go back to sleep. So it kind of depends. I'm going to say 6 hours if I'm lucky. How do you avoid the paparazzi? We avoid the paparazzi by not living in Los Angeles or New York. Paparazzi just does not, I guess I don't know why they don't exist in Nashville. I don't know if they just don't, I don't know, it's weird. There are a lot of high-profile people who live in Nashville, and yet they don't come down there, which is just great. It's wonderful. And we know when we go to New York and when we go to LA, I just know there are certain places that if I go there, there's going to be paparazzi. So I try to steer clear of those places. If it's an event, then I'm prepared. If I'm taking my kids out for a hike, it is a bit of a, it's more than a bit of a nuisance. It's a real intrusion because my kids are, you know, they didn't get into this world intentionally. So I feel like that new fascination with people's kids is gross. And I'm always encouraging people, you know, to try to steer clear of tabloids that feature pictures of kids. You know, the one thing about European tabloids, they may be mean, but they always blot out kids' faces, and I think that's very respectful. Did the recent flood affect your farm? Actually, luckily enough, our creek there was just bulging. We lost our little bridge, but that was the most of it. So we consider ourselves very, very lucky. Our farm is outside of Nashville, so we aren't near one of the rivers. But we saw the damage done, and we had a lot of friends who lost a lot of things, and so and we're still continuing to get hit pretty hard down there. So you know, we keep everybody in our prayers and continue. In fact, we're getting ready to go to Alabama and do a flood relief or a tornado relief benefit sometime in I think maybe June or July. So watch for that. Do you have any pets? Do you take them on the road with you? If I could take my 13 horses and my 2 dogs and my 7 fish and my 2 donkeys and my 2 longhorn cows, I would definitely take them all. But we can't really do that. And we actually used to take the 2 dogs. We most recently lost my my old companion Rex to heart failure, but we have a new puppy named Sam. But we used to bring the dogs, but there's just too much dog hair to have little boys crawling around still. So, did you enjoy working with the cast of 30 Rock? Any good stories? I love that show and love doing it. It was so much fun. Funny stories, yeah. I mean, it was completely and totally surreal to reenact We Are the World and have Cyndi Lauper like right to my left. And Michael McDonald. It just was just really, really funny. Loved working with Alec Baldwin. He just cracks me up. He's not that character, but there are aspects of him that are that character. So it was really, really fun. What is the one thing that you procrastinate on? And that's from Sam. Wow, I procrastinate on a lot of things. I mean, gosh, I mean, if I have to fill out paperwork for something, if I have to do email questions, I will totally procrastinate on it. If I have to approve things, I'm just really bad about it. I'll do 5,000 things. I'll clean my entire house before I'll sit down and do what I'm supposed to be doing. Other things when it comes to songwriting and stuff, you know, I'm pretty good about it. I try to finish, you know, everything in a timely fashion. Don't always get the job done, but I do the best I can. Would you ever do Dancing with the Stars? And that's Rachel. I would love to do Dancing with the Stars. And I think I might be pretty good, although I'm extremely not limber. But I don't know how. I just don't know how you have a credible music career after that. So I don't think I'm going to do it. But I would love to do it because, for one thing, I would love to be that fit, doing something that was completely different than what I do already. The other aspect of it that would not be manageable for me is the amount of time that it would take. I feel like I would never get to see my kids, and there's just nothing worth that. So, do you have any hidden talents or hobbies? Well, most of my real fans know I'm an excellent twirler. Hobbies, I'm a pretty good water skier. I can't lie to you about that. Pretty good slalom skier. have been known to get on trick skis. My brother barefoots, and I have not done that yet, but I'm one step away from it. What other hobbies do I have? Chris, what hobbies do I have? I'm a mom. My hobby as a mom is I'm getting better with that. I love to go junking. That's what we called it when I was growing up. But I love to go to antique stores and collect weird things. Do you like to perform at festivals? I love to perform at festivals. I like to perform at all different kinds of venues because it keeps things interesting. But I love festivals because invariably you are playing for a mass audience of people that are your fans and a large population of people that are not your fans. So it's always great to play for the unconverted, because sometimes you turn people onto stuff that they didn't know that you do. So that's kind of what you want to be doing anyway. It's great to go out and play for people who love you, but you're not widening your audience when you do that. So, and the other great thing about festivals is that I get to see other people play. So I love that. Who do you think will win American Idol? Oh, I'm gutted that James isn't on there still, but I don't know. I mean, I know that Haley's behind, but I kind of root for her. I love the timbre of her voice. I love Scotty. I think Scotty's going to have a career whether he wins or not. I mean, he's great. So, and Lauren's great too. Lauren is so young that I think she's going to have a career anyway. So I'm rooting for Haley a little bit. What is your favorite music video you ever filmed? Well, my favorite one that I filmed, just on the enjoyment tip, was Steve McQueen, because I got to ride a dirt bike. I got to ride with a stunt guy jumping over in a Shelby Mustang. I got to meet Steve McQueen's son and his widow. What else? That was just a really, really fun video to make. Soak of the Sun was fun because I got to learn how to surf. My favorite video, though, I would say, is Home, which most people didn't see. It was basically like a slow motion derby, the old-fashioned derbies that you used to see at carnivals, cars crashing into each other and tractor pulls and that sort of thing, and mud flying everywhere. It was just a gorgeous video shot by Sam Baer and a lot of real people in it, but I don't think the video got shown much. So, what's the next album going to be like? And that's from Alan. I don't know, Alan. I mean, I will tell you one thing. I'm without a record label. I used to be on Interscope, and we have shaken hands and parted ways. We're both interested in doing different things. I think, well, anyway, I have been recently working with Brad Paisley, who I love and I'm a big fan of, and I have a lot of great friends in the country world, and I've threatened forever and ever to make what I feel like is an old school country record. So I think it's going to be kind of in the vein of that. Hoping not to throw my fans off too much, but you know, maybe an extension of the last record in combination with my first couple of records. Who has been your favorite artist to collaborate with? Well, I have to say that I loved and continue to love collaborating with Stevie Nicks. She was and still is, but a huge influence on me when I was growing up. I mean, she was, as far as women go, the full package. You know, she was a rock star. She rocked really hard. She wrote songs that were really tough but yet vulnerable. She was her own songwriter. She was gorgeous, and she was just very mystical to me. And then I got to know her, and I got to produce her, and she is all that still. I mean, she's just a very inspired person, so love her. What is your favorite part about being on tour, and what is your least? My favorite part about being on tour is getting to play for people every night. I like the continuity of that. I like the fact that it's different everywhere that we go. All the shows are different. My least favorite thing about it probably is the exhaustion factor. Being tired, but also being away from home is difficult. It's hard. I think it is, even though my kids are right now very malleable, very spontaneous, and gregarious, both of them are. I think it is hard on them because as Wyatt gets older, he really loves things being consistent, and even though we try to keep things as consistent as possible. It's not that consistent of a lifestyle. And also he misses his friends and his cousins, and so. Did the Mustangs survive the jump scene? That's from Mike. Yes, but I will tell you one thing. The Mustang that they had in that was tricked out. So it was one that had been put together, basically. It wasn't one that was a collectible. They did have the old Steve McQueen Shelby there, and actually they had one for, let me think, I guess Steve McQueen, they had the little Porsche too from Bullitt. And I got to meet Dale Earnhardt Jr. on that video, so that was another reason that I just loved it. It's just really cool video, really fun. What's the best advice your mother gave you about being a mom? And that's from Brandy. Gosh, a couple of things actually. One is consistency, just being consistent. Is super important, because I think kids, they want to know where the barriers are. It'd be great to think that you're going to be best friends with your kids, that you're going to be playmates and all that stuff, but it's not realistic, and it's not good for their, I think for their stability. They want to know where the boundaries are. That's why sometimes, they go out of their way to push the boundaries, to push the limits, and to be, to be challenging, because they want you to show them where the parameters are, and there's safety in that for them. And I think one of the things that my mom always said to me too is, she's like, it's going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt them. So like when I would get upset about putting him in timeout, or being very stern with Wyatt as he was going through the terrible twos and challenging threes, she would say those things are not going to be memorable for him. What's memorable for him is going to be the feeling of safety, and I do think there's a lot of truth to that. When did you first learn to play the guitar and the piano? The piano I started when I was 6 years old. I was in first grade, and at the end of my first grade year. Yeah, 6 years old, and I studied it all the way through college. And the guitar I didn't actually start playing until I was in my 20s. I just decided that the music that I was writing on the piano was too, I don't know, I was just tired of it. I was tired of writing stuff that sounded, although I love Elton John, I love James Taylor, I love Carole King, I wanted to rock out a little bit more, and I felt like I needed to learn how to play guitar to be able to write something that was based in the rhythm guitar world. What is your favorite album recently, and why? Well, I really am loving the Black Keys' new record. I really like that record a lot. I'm lucky because I have a tour manager that turns me on to new music all the time. He'll send me playlists and stuff, and that's probably the record I'm listening to most right now. I'm also listening to Emmylou's new record, which I like a lot. What else? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. How did beating cancer change your perspective on day-to-day life? Well, being diagnosed, I think, was the life changer for me, because it forced me to have to put myself first. And I think women will relate to this, particularly women my age. You come into the world as a nurturer and a nourisher. Your body is built to have kids. You have your kids. You nourish them by the breast. You put yourself last, basically. It's like you're doing everything based in their column of needs, and you're putting yourself last. And we do that in relationships, particularly where strong men are concerned. We make ourselves smaller and smaller so that their light shines brighter, and that's no direct hit at men in general. It's sort of just the way that we come in, and I think sometimes we have to learn how to set up boundaries for ourselves. We have to learn how to put on our oxygen mask before we put on anybody else's, just like they say on the airplane. And that experience really made me realize that the only person that could help me to get well was me. The only person that could go through my own healing process was me. I had to do it by myself. I had to learn how to say no to people. I couldn't take care of everybody. I couldn't make everybody feel okay about the experience. When you get diagnosed, your whole network of people gets diagnosed, your family, your friends, everybody wants to try to fix it for you. They feel helpless, and then for people like me who are caretakers, we want to make them feel okay about it. And I had to learn to just say, this is all mine, you know, and I have to learn how to say no and learn how to take care of myself. So that was the experience. What was Tuesday Night Music Club tour like? Oh, that tour was so much fun, and it was a very long tour. For instance, I started out with, I went back to St. Louis after making the record. I put a band together from people in St. Louis. Over the course of touring that record for 3 years, the musician lineup changed a couple of different times. We toured for probably a year and a half before we ever had a hit, because that's what you did. Then we got nominated for Grammys and won the Grammys, and then all of a sudden it was like everybody knew the music, so we were able to fill up bigger and bigger and bigger halls and play festivals, and so we were out for another year and a half, and it was a long tour, but one that I think, you know, it was really my learning, my teaching ground. It was where my learning curve, I think it's where I experienced my learning curve. I did everything I could possibly do on that record. We played every country. I did every interview. It was a crazy, crazy time, but, you know, one that afforded me the opportunity to play in other countries and play my own music. So, last question: how do you keep in touch with your parents on the road? Well, I'm very close to my parents. I'm very close to my siblings, and we talk very frequently. We text, we email, and I am a huge fan of Skype and online chatting, and we do that all the time. I mean, that's the way my kids stay in touch with their grandparents, and it's, you know, it's the next best thing to being there. I really appreciate your guys writing in. Thank you for joining me in this special Tom's in Maine chat event. It was a lot of fun. I thank all of you guys for the great questions, and I hope to see you guys on our upcoming concert dates. And definitely come check us out when we're out with Kid Rock. And we will continue our special events to bring back natural beauty. So, good night, you guys.